Did
But
he
run
switch
it down.
Pop?
Run it down. I was 2-3. You were 3-2.
I already
Pop is
ran it down.
1-5-1 for the year.
I
You're
I
nine
stayed
six
in
and
all of
one.
I stayed in all of this, Pop. I don't know where you were when I stated it, but I laid
Dude,
it all out at the beginning. I laid it all out at the beginning for the people. Guys, go back to the start of the Bada Bet segment. Check that out. I laid it all
I
out
was
for you.
dreaming of Sam Howell scoring 5 touchdowns next week.
Pop, what's going on, man?
How you doing, son?
Hey,
Week
we're
4
back.
already.
On to Philadelphia. We're
On to
on to
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. It is crazy.
Wipe the
Week 4
tape.
already, and episode 98 already, if you can believe that. 98
Wow.
episodes of the Dom and Pop podcast. 2 away from 100. It is crazy. And
Wow.
no, don't wipe the tape. There's a lot of stuff we need to learn from last week. We'll get into that in our keys and our breakdown. But Pop, let's get the quick vibe check here. We're a little off the blowout now. It's over. It's happened. We've had time to digest it. At the end of the day, it's week 3. The boys are 2-1. How are you feeling?
I mean, I think it's I think we just got to stay medium, to quote the great Jim Zorn.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
I think if we talk about, remember how high we were after week 2, people giving, Sam Howell A grades across the board. Well, he got F's across the board in Buffalo. So what does that make his average? A
Yeah.
C, right? So, I think every step of the way along the way, it's been so positive related to Sam Howell. Yeah, there were little chinks in the armor, holds the ball a little bit too long, and some other things in there. Maybe some, I didn't think his decision making, other than this past game, has been bad. He had some interceptable balls, but he only had one interception in the first 2 games. And then, obviously the wheels came off the cart against Buffalo. So I just think, we're overreacting a little bit and already determining that he's not the guy after one game, we being the collective fan base. This pump
Yeah.
our brakes. We need to give it time. It's natural. You've said this. I'll give you credit that a young quarterback's going to have growing pains. I really don't know if he's the guy or he's not the guy. That's, the bottom line. I don't know how good this team really is. You know, I think if I'm going to, I think it's going to be a silver lining vibe for me.
I
And the
like that.
silver lining for me is it's 16-0 and going into the fourth quarter. And then your boy AG fumbles,
Yeah.
right? And then that turns into a score, and things start turning around. There's just one too many turnovers. But they were right there, and there were 3 scoring opportunities between the first half and the first drive of the second half. So, like, if they kick 3 field goals in those situations, that's 9 points, 16-9. They get a touchdown and a field goal, maybe miss on one opportunity at 16-10. So they were
Yeah.
really right there with the Bills, and then finally the wheels came off the cart. So that's my silver lining
There you go.
view
I
of
like it.
things. Got a tough opponent coming up, which we'll get into in a minute, but that's my silver lining view.
100%. I like that. I think in general, I'm feeling similarly. I think I was feeling a little bit more that way after the game. But in general, yeah, I'm not too. My vibes are pretty okay. It's loser talk, but at the end of the day, this is not a game any of us thought we were going to win. This is a game that we figured you got to go in and you got to play perfect. And what I saw was the opposite of that. We all saw the opposite of that. They went in and they
Right.
played the worst football of the year by far. And I think some of that had to do with the class of the opponent, but most of that, in my opinion, had to do with the moment being too big for the young quarterback, for the young team, and us just kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, right? That's what I feel. When you look at not protecting the ball, throwing the ball right at linebackers, not getting through your reads, that's a little bit of nerves. And I think that in general, we didn't have to play perfect football to win that game. Sam probably could have gotten away with throwing 1 interception. He might have been able to get away with throwing 2. 4 interceptions, 9 sacks, a fumble, a pick 6. That's not going to work. But
No.
we could have won that game with a less than perfect performance, which for me, I think, like you said, I like the term silver lining. That's kind of where I'm at with it as well. For me, that's the silver lining is that I think we did have opportunity to make that game close. I mean, 16 nothing going into the fourth quarter with as bad as we played, even 10 nothing going into that 2 minute drill at the half with getting the ball back with as bad as the first half would be. You figure you get 7 there, you get the ball back, all of a sudden it's 14-10. Obviously, not how things went, but we had opportunities. We just deuced the bet on every single one of them. And I think we'll have to see some positive regression on that over the season. You just can't put up that many stinkers. Um,
Well,
but
I
what do
think
you
the
say?
narrative, you could take the narrative any way you want to, right? I mean, you could say the first two opponents were terrible and we're 2-0, but I mean, Cardinals don't look terrible to me,
I think the
right?
Cardinals are a decent ball club. They're
You
feisty,
know,
at
they
least.
you know, and the Broncos, I mean, is a horrendous week for sure, but I think
Yeah.
they're better than that.
Yeah.
Talk about the wheels coming off the cart there. And you could talk about Sam holding the ball too long, and all the analytics of our offensive line isn't really that bad. I go by the eye test. If he's holding the ball long because he's trying to break out of the pocket because he's getting pressured, that
Yeah.
skews the statistic a little bit, right? You see him
Sure.
trying to make plays with his feet. Another thing, the great Jay Gruden was on the radio yesterday, and he talked about our receivers not getting open enough.
Yeah.
So,
That's a
but I think my
problem.
biggest disappointment is like Sam, not to recap the game because I know we're trying to avoid doing that, but Sam didn't have a good game. You want to put it on his shoulders, you want to give him most of the blame pie, as JP would say, fine. But we
Yeah.
didn't coach a very good game.
Yeah.
Defensively or offensively, when Ron Rivera says in his presser, I like one thing that Ron said in his Monday presser, and I really disliked something else that he said in his presser. I really liked what he said about Sam. He said, "Hey, he's 3-1. We were we were 2-0 coming into this game. You want me to give up on the kid? Like that's kind of ridiculous." It's not his exact
100%.
words, but I totally 100% supported what he said. He's developing. We believe in his development. But then he was asked about the defense and how they, didn't put a spy on Allen, and he just said, "Well, like our defensive line, he just like they got spooked by him or something to that effect." Like
Yeah.
what? What? Make an adjustment.
Yeah.
I felt like we went in with a game plan that we didn't game plan for the Bills. That's what it felt like. We just went in with we're going to play to our strengths, right? We're not going to
Yeah.
like make sure Josh Allen doesn't escape the pocket. We're not going to, you know, do extra things on offense to get the ball out of Sam's hands quicker or help him with a little bit more running game balance. I mean, as the most disappointed in what the coaches are doing, but I think they can figure that out. I think they can
Yeah.
figure that out. It's a wake up call. That's the other silver lining, right? It's a wake up call across the board, slap in the face for everyone, and hopefully that'll spark, much better performance this week.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we talk about all the wins counting the same. All the losses count the same too. They don't care. This isn't
That's right.
fantasy football where it's the tiebreaker for points for. It doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, if you're gonna be 3-1, which we'll talk about what it'll take for us to get there, if you're gonna be 3-1 statistically, you'd rather be 3-1 beating Philly and losing to Buffalo than the inverse in terms of what's gonna help us get to the playoffs and down the line. So all about optimism here for the boys, trying to make the best out of what was kind of a strudel sandwich, so to speak, in the last game.
That's for sure.
But we're trying to make the best of it here. Pop, what do you say we move on to Philadelphia? Talk a little Eagles here.
On to Philadelphia. I'm with you.
On to Philadelphia. So Sunday, 1 o'clock at Philly. Got to be one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, no matter what. Definitely one of the toughest places to play in the NFL when they are the reigning NFC champions and a long-time division rival. Um, One of the best teams in the NFL. You just can't deny that. You have to say that. We're going to do power rankings later on in this episode, and I have a feeling they're going to be in both of our top fives. Um, but really, really good ball club. Really well rounded ball club. They kind of do everything very well. If there's one thing they're doing better than the other right now, it's definitely running the football. We'll get into that. DeAndre Swift has kind of had a breakout right now. If you have him on your fantasy team, you got to be in a pretty good mood about that.
Looks
He's been
good.
super efficient, just looks like a beast. And then Kenny Gainwell is nobody to sneeze at either. And then if you can contain the run from the running backs, Jalen Hurts runs better than half of the running backs in the NFL, anyways, on his own. And if you contain him, keep him in the pocket, well, he can pick you apart with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins, which for my money is the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. So you have
And on top of that, they have a really good offensive line, too. Some of those
yeah,
holes Swift was running through were ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, I could gain 3-4 yards behind that line. And on top of that, if that's not good enough, they have one of the scariest defensive lines of football, and that was before they drafted who was, in my opinion, pure talent, the best player in the draft, which was Jalen Carter. And he is on a tear. He is on a tear. So we have our work cut out for us. If there is a weak spot of that team right now, it's definitely the secondary. They're pretty banged up in the secondary. Um, in general, though, -8.5 is it might be generous from Vegas for us. This is going to be a tough game. If you look at what happened against Buffalo going into this division game, and you look at the way we match up against this team, this roster is no less talented than Buffalo's. Let's put it that way. So we got our work cut out for us for sure.
I agree. It's going to be a
Yeah,
very
that's
tough matchup, but there
the
is a
Donnie
road
Style
to
report for the
victory,
week.
son. There's a
I think
road to
so.
victory. And we're
I think
about to
so.
tell the people. We're
The
about to tell the
road,
people what that road to victory is.
yes, sir. The road to victory through the 3 keys. Pop, I
Did
just
we
talked
just
for
come
like
up with
5
a new
minutes.
name for the segment? The road to victory. That's pretty good.
I like that. I like that. Welcome to Diamond Pop's Road to Victory. Pop, what are the 3 roads we got to take, or the 3 routes, 3 keys to the road to victory? I don't know. We got to workshop that a little bit.
We'll
We're doing
see.
it
We're going
live.
to workshop it. We're going to workshop it.
Give
So,
me your
yeah,
3 keys, Pop.
I guess I'm going first here. I think it's, offensive game planning, right, is going to be key as a key. We got to have, you talked about what's their strength and what's their weakness, right? And if the weakness is the secondary, then we got to go to a quick game. Let's take it away from the upfront guys and let's get in those quick slants, those quick outs, get the ball out of Sam's hands quickly. It might be tough to run against that defensive line, but I think we're going to have to try to have more balance. 5 pass runs versus pass or in the beginning of the game. We can't just keep dropping Sam back. It's got to be
Yeah.
quick games, get him out of the pocket, run the ball effectively. I think that's going to be, the key to it, right? Let's play to their weakness, which is more their back line of the defense versus the front line, right? I know it's kind of a faux pas when you talk about keys of a game, a road to victory, to bring up protect turnovers, right? Win the turnover
Yeah.
battle. So obvious, but we've got to protect the ball. We just have
Yep.
to. We have to protect the ball. Part of protecting the ball goes to the number one key, which is your game plan. Put your quarterback in a position. I'm a big believer with a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback. It's a building block situation. And you shouldn't open up the whole playbook. And I think that's a mistake we keep making with new
Yep.
quarterbacks. We're opening up the whole playbook to start. Building blocks. Make them successful. Quick game, and do things to help him protect the ball. More protection in for him. Those kind of things. EB's got to be really creative in his game planning, and
Yep.
we are going to have to protect the ball as an offense. No fumbles at max. 1 turnover for the game. It'd be nice if we force some as well. And then I
100%.
think defensively, look, I've said it every week. I'm going to keep it in there. Our defense has to be elite. They're our secret weapon. They're what tilts us from being able to win games. We have to be able to lean on that defense. And part of that is we got to be aggressive with our game planning. We can't play scared. Yes, we need to put a spy on Hurts. We've done that very effectively with Jamin Davis in the past. But, so we've got to contain Hurts, but we just got to also you can't have 0 sacks at the end of this game either. I want an
Yep.
aggressive I want the defense flying to the ball and being aggressive and not playing scared. And I thought they played a little scared last week. In fact, Ron said as much in his press conference, if you read between the lines.
I like it. I like it, Pop. I feel good about those keys. I think they're strong. I think for the first time, we've got three different keys, each
All
one of
right.
us. So you're
So
getting
we got
six
six
keys.
for
There's
the
no
boys.
overlap
They
here.
follow these six. It's
Yeah.
the road to victory.
So give them your three keys rapid fire just to wrap it up here.
I say got to have the offensive game plan's got to be a quick game and some run balance. Got to protect the ball, and the defense has got to come out aggressive but smart.
Strong. I like that, Pop. I like that a lot. That's very, very insightful of you. I'll give my three keys here. I'm going to start off rapid fire and then I'll go elaborate. I'm going to kind of do it in reverse. Number one, we got to contain Jalen Hurts. Got to keep him in the pocket, make him pick you apart with his arm. Number two, we got to protect Sam Howell. And number three, we have to stop the run from Philly. So number one and number three kind of go together. That's why I wanted to give
Good.
these rapid fire and then kind of elaborate. Philly's not passing the ball great right now. They're having a lot of big plays. Smith is getting open. AJ Brown's getting a lot of targets underneath, but they're not really that explosive pass attack that they were last year quite yet. They're just not quite in rhythm. We've had the pleasure of getting to watch a couple of primetime games of theirs to scout out, and I haven't seen that Philadelphia offense be as explosive as it was last year. So if we can stop that run, keep Hurts in the pocket, not let him extend plays, not let him bail himself out on 3rd and 16, on 2nd and 12, like Josh Allen was doing last week, force him to pick us apart with the throws, force him to kind of get into a rhythm, we can take advantage of the fact that they've been a little herky jerk. And the thing that's going to get us there is going to be stopping the run. Because basically, if you watch the game against Minnesota, I think it was last week, they sucked offensively. They were not good, but Minnesota could not stop the run. So they were just giving the ball to Swift. Swift would get 8 yards. Giving the ball to Swift again. Swift would get 12 yards. Giving the ball to Swift again. He'd get 8. Then they give it to Gainwell. He'd get 6. They had no reason to throw the ball. And I'm sitting there with A.J. Brown on my fantasy team just seething. They're like, throw the ball. They didn't throw the ball. They didn't have to. And they smacked Minnesota. So they will run the ball 50 times on us if we don't contain the run. We have to shut that down. And the second key, it's obvious. We have to find a way to protect Sam Howell. 9 sacks. If you want to say half of those are Howell's fault, he still took 4.5 sacks.
Yeah.
That's if you divide that number in half, it still sucks. So even if Howell plays perfectly and there are 4.5 sacks because the offensive line plays bad, we're screwed. We're screwed. We cannot beat Philly playing from behind, playing off tempo, playing from 2nd and 14, 3rd and 18, 3rd and 22 because he takes 2 sacks and then he throws a pick trying to get it past the sticks on 3rd and 22. We cannot have that. We saw how quickly that crippled us against Buffalo. We were moving the ball on that opening drive. Defense came out, held them to 3, moved the ball, sack. Sam's got to make a hero play, pockets collapsing, interception. Ball game was over right there if you look back on it. We cannot have that. We cannot have that because that's what happens against elite ball clubs. That you give them one opening and it's over. So we have to protect that ball. Those are my 3 keys. So again, rapid fire. It's going to be contain Jalen Hurts, keep him in the pocket. 2, Sam Howell, got to protect the kid, keep him upright by any means necessary. And 3, stop the run. Got to shut down the run, make them beat us through the air. And that's not just because I have A.J. Brown on one fantasy team and Devontae Smith on the other. It's not just because of that.
Although but I like it. I especially like your analysis on stopping the run. That's big time, son. Like I said, sign the man. That's big time. That makes a ton of sense if you look at where they've been excelling, and if we couldn't shut down that run, put more pressure in their pass game. I like that, and I think one of yours complemented mine. Again, the way to protect Sam. One way to do it is not rely on that offensive line to drop back into pass protection, right? In a long drop back, put in different situations, get that defense on their heels a bit by how we call the game plan. And I think, maybe EB's got to reference back to his Alex Smith game planning days and less so
Yeah,
to his Patrick Mahomes game planning days, because, he's got to really start to game plan to what our strengths are. So those are great.
100%.
Those are great.
100%. Appreciate that, Pop. Let's get into our power rankings. I can sit here and talk Commanders all day, but we got a packed episode. By the way, new editing style, new background, new layout, extra content
For
coming
the
to you
people.
guys. While we're here, hopefully, I don't want to overpromise here and underdeliver, but hopefully, if I've had a good night with Premier Pro, there's a little ticker going on underneath here reminding you. But please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing. And if you're not enjoying what you're seeing, comment us and tell us why you think we're wrong. We love chirping at you guys, and we're waiting on that mailbag segment. We just got to get the comments coming in so we can tell you guys how silly you're being.
And if you're a regular listener, share it with a friend. Share it with two friends. If you like it,
Means
just
a
send
lot.
that link
Means a lot.
across. Say, hey, think you might like these guys. We'd really appreciate that. And we're having a bunch of fun doing this. Now, these power rankings, son, got to be rapid fire. We don't. It's just
100%.
not
Yeah,
off season pod. We don't got
no.
20 minutes or 25 minutes to burn here. This is a 3-4 minute segment. Rapid fire, few comments, burn through that list, and then kill us in the comments, people, if you disagree.
Love that. Love that. So let's do, I'll go 10, you go 10, I'll go 9, you go 9. Go down that way, build a little bit of suspense to get to that number one team. What do you think?
Okay, that's how
I
you
feel
want to do
good.
it.
Are you
I thought I was
ready? Are
going
you
to
in the
wrap
rhythm?
up. I thought I was going to go 1 through 10, just rip them off.
No.
But that's what you want to do, son.
We got to build
We'll
some
do it.
suspense here. We got to build some
Okay.
suspense. Number 10 for me, the Green Bay Packers. Pop, who you got at 10?
I got the Lions.
Whoa. Already we got a big disparity. Number 9 for me, Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's a hot take on the record, but that's number 9. What you got? What you got at 9,
I got the
Pop?
Steelers.
There you
Steelers.
go.
I like that defense.
That's a hot take too. Number 8, I got the Dallas Cowboys. What you got at 8?
I got my Hawks at 8.
Seahawks, Seattle. Wow. They do not make my top 10. Spoiler. Number 7, I got the Baltimore Ravens, much as it pains me. What do you got, Pop?
7, I had to go Cowboys.
Cowboys. Hate to do it. Number 6, I got your number 10 team, the Detroit Lions. What you got at 6?
Woo! You love you some Lions.
Love me some Lions.
I got the Insiders team, Baltimore Ravens at number 6.
Not mad at that. Just flipped, basically. I'm okay with that. Number 5, I got who we're about to come and beat some ass on, the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you got at number 5?
I got the Bills. It's tough with this top 5. We've said it. Top 5 teams
Top
are
5
elite. Then there's kind of everybody else. I got the Bills at number 5.
I got the Bills at number 4. Spoiler alert. I think they are a little bit better than Philly. Josh Allen is just that dude. Who you got at 4, Pop?
I had to show Philly more respect. I went Eagles at 4.
All right.
Still think they're the better team of the two. You said that earlier, by the way. You said you think that's
another flip-flop situation. I said in terms of talent across the board, but power rankings-wise, I got to give it to Buffalo right now. Buffalo's been playing better football right now.
All right. Top 3.
Kansas City Chiefs at number 3 for me. What do you got?
I got the 49ers. That's disrespectful to put the Chiefs third. I got the 49ers at number 3.
I'll tell you why in a second. Number 2, Miami Dolphins for me.
Woo! You got it too. I got the Chiefs at number 2.
So then you have Miami at number 1, and for me, I got the San Francisco 49ers.
That's a hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take. And so let's just go ahead. Let's get in our reactions here. Of course, we're going to start with that number 1 slot. We disagree.
Quick.
It's 53 men on a roster. The Dolphins have a great offense. There's no denying that. And they exposed a Denver team that completely quit on their crappy coach, Sean Payton. 100%. I see that. I agree with it. Whatever. But we're overhyped on them, too. We're overhyped. It is a great offense. It is an elite offense, as good as we have seen in recent times. Defense is average, and they can run out and score points on you, but you put that team against San Francisco, who is an elite offense as well, and an elite defense. Elite. You have some of the best pass rushers of all time on that defense. You have a great secondary. They are a great – you cannot find a weakness on that San Francisco team. You cannot find a weak spot on that roster. You can find weaknesses in Miami. So for that, number one,
It's a solid
San
argument.
Francisco. San Francisco. And
Yeah,
you know
I think
what?
like we've talked about. There's 5 elite teams, and we are preparing for this, right? That top 5: Miami, the Chiefs, Niners, Eagles, Bills, in whatever order you want to put them in.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made for any one of those 5 teams being the best team in football. I think you got to give the Chiefs a little more respect. I think maybe I approach it a little different than you in that I think the best team in football clearly through week 3 has been
Today. Okay.
has been the Dolphins. Now, it doesn't
That's
mean I did
fair.
it right, you did it wrong. I think
No,
part of
no, no.
power
Two
rankings
different
is figuring
approaches.
out how they're going to finish. It'll be interesting to check back in. We'll do this every few weeks. We won't do it every week, but we just kind of felt the vibes, especially after that 70-20 shellacking, and then what the Bills did to us and what the Chiefs did this last week. It felt about right. The Eagles kind of continued to show their dominance against, an improving team in the Bucks last night.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good time to put this together. That bottom 5, I'll be honest, I definitely think Ravens and Cowboys deserve to be up there.
Yeah.
For me, you get 8 through 10, Seahawks, Steelers, Lions. In my opinion, it's anybody's ball game. They're probably a couple of teams behind, but the teams behind these teams haven't earned it yet. Like
So no
the
Bengals
Bengals
for
have
you.
not
Get into
earned a
that a little
spot in the
bit.
top 10 yet, in my opinion. It's
So
like
I guess
college basketball rankings a little bit here.
this might come down to kind of our difference in approach a little bit here.
Right.
I'm looking at who do I think are going to be the best teams in the NFL based off of what I've seen in the first 3 weeks and what I know about the teams. You're looking at who has been the best teams in the NFL. And okay, if you're seeing it that way, I
All
totally
good.
see
All
Cincinnati
good.
not being there at number 9. For me, I'm not that worried about Cincinnati starting 0-2 and slowly putting it together because I think at the end of the day, you got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, you got Zach Taylor as head coach, a great coach, and you're going to put some stuff together, frankly. I'm
Well,
not
this
too
will be
worried
good.
about
We'll keep a record of this is where we were, and then in 3-4 weeks we come back. We'll do this again. We could talk about how teams have moved around in
it.
our
Yeah,
list. I think that'll be interesting. So,
I love that.
hey, we're not even at the quarter point mark with 17 games. A little wacky anyway. I think we got to do decimal places and stuff, but
Yeah, got to
it's fun.
improvise.
It's
Until they
fun.
add that 18th game so that Super Bowl Sunday can be the night before President's Day so we can all have the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday off, and the birds will sing, the rivers will run clear, and everything will be right in the world. Speaking of
I
always
like
being
it.
right, Pop, I'm up $100 from last weekend on the little I
I
can't
know
just gamble
you're
out here.
very open
Doing
about
all right. Doing
your
all right on the
spending habits
parlay.
and gambling.
Yeah,
Just say you want. Just say you want.
my $5 a week gambling habit here. Let us get into, you know it, you love it, you can't live without it. It's the Bada Bets for
The boys
NFL
are relatively
Week
hot.
4.
I mean, if you look at that overall record, it's
Yep.
pretty good. I challenge other sites to be better than what the
So
boys are producing so far.
you know what I think is funny here, Pop, is you talk about Miami being the number 1 team in the NFL. Miami, flashy, scores a lot of points. I talk about San Francisco being the number 1 team in the NFL, winning the trenches, chopping wood. You come out last week 5-0. Me, kind of staying in the middle of the pack, just staying above water, not so great. But at the end of the day, our record's pretty much the same. You're 10-5-1. I'm 9-6-1. I made up for
Pretty
it
even.
last week.
That's
I
what I
went
said.
three
I
and
think
two.
we're both
You go
cooking.
2-3. They say in gambling, if you're above 500, you're winning. We have got playoff records in the NFL right now. Easy. You might win a division.
I mean, we're basically Miami and the 49ers right now, the two of us.
That's what I'm saying. You can see that philosophy. It runs deep. It runs deep. And who would have thought? Who would have
And
thought
we're
the young
humble
guy?
too.
Oh yeah, humblest. Who would have thought? That's why down there it says the number 1 father son DC Sports Talk Plus podcast right there. Who would have thought?
Like Coastal.
Who would have thought the young guy is the one talking about winning in the trenches and chopping wood, and Pop with the air raid offense like Mike McDaniel flying out there with 5-0 weeks? It's impressive. It's impressive, I gotta say.
Absolutely. Not this week.
Let's
I
get
didn't go
into these
5-0
picks.
this week.
Well, you might go 5-0 next week. That's why we love the Bada Bets. You always got another chance. Let's Let's get into
But
these
run
picks,
it down.
Pop.
Run it down. I was 2-3. You were 3-2.
I already
Papa's
ran it
won
down.
5-1 for the
I
year. You're
oh, I
9
stated
6
all of
1.
I stated all of this, Pop. I don't know where you were when I stated it, but I laid
Dude,
it all out at the beginning. I laid it all out at the beginning for the people. Guys, go back to the start of the Bada Bet segment. Check that out. I laid it all
I
out
was
for you. But
dreaming of Sam Howell scoring 5 touchdowns next week.
oh, that's a good dream. That's a good dream. Anyways, Thursday night football. Let's get right into these picks, huh?
A
Lions
blank moment.
at Packers. This is going to be a great game, I think. At
Do that
Lambeau.
again.
This
Do
is
that
a
again. Introduce that again. I stepped over you. You don't need to
uh,
edit it out, but
cooking
start
me
from the
up
top.
here. Cooking me up here. Lions at Packers, Thursday night football. Packers 1.5 point favorites at home. Historic rivalry. What do you got there, Pop?
Ooh, yeah, I didn't
Tough
really
one.
think ahead on this one. I know you're a big Lions fan. Packers squeaked one out last week. I think it's going to be a tough battle. I think Lions are a better team at the end of the day. I go
Yeah.
Lions. It's not much of a difference there.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I do really love the Lions. I also am a huge Jordan Love fan. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Packers here.
Whoa!
I'm gonna go ahead and take the Packers. They lost a close game to Atlanta that they could have won. Atlanta, not too dissimilar playing style from the Lions. They like to keep the ball on the ground, run it. Lions are missing David Montgomery. Craig Reynolds is not effective. Let's leave it at that. And Jahmyr Gibbs not quite there yet. He's shaping up, but not quite there yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Packers -1.5. Sunday, one
Contradict
o'clock.
the power rankings, but it's okay.
Sunday, 1 o'clock. We got a great
That's
game
a
here.
great game.
Miami at Buffalo. That is every year. You just circle that. I try not to split screen the Commanders games, but I might have to split screen this one. This is a game I'm going to
I
want to
don't
be
know
keeping
what's
up with
going.
over the course of the day. Miami at Buffalo. Buffalo 3-point favorites at home. What do you like there, Pop?
I'm going to zig and zag. I picked Miami as my number one team. Buffalo is fifth, but I think Buffalo gets this one. It's just a gut feel. I think, they got 3 points to cover there. It's interesting that they're a favorite, but I think they're going to ride high after smacking up the boys this week, and Miami's going to brought down to earth. I like that matchup for Buffalo. I think their defense is a lot tougher for obviously than the Broncos defense. So
Yeah,
I might regret this one, but I'm going to go Buffalo.
I'm going to go Miami here. I'm hoping Jalen Waddle can make it back for fantasy purposes. And you saw Miami went up to Buffalo last year twice, and they almost beat them in the regular season. And then they almost beat them in the playoffs with their third string quarterback. It was a close, close game. So I think Mike McDaniel, you want to talk about coaching and game planning, I think he's about as brilliant as it gets. I'm taking Miami there for sure, giving me points as well. You got the Ravens at the Browns. Browns 2.5 point favorites. What do you think there?
I like Ravens. Simple.
Yeah, I like the Ravens as well. I think the Browns are a very fraudulent 2-1, especially without Nick Chubb. Really, just don't think that's a good football team. They have a good defense. They have a very good defense, but
I'll take
offensively, they're
Ravens on the
just a
points
nightmare.
for sure.
Yeah. Chiefs -9.5 at the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football. Amid the spiace to our Jets insider, he just can't catch a break, man. That's tough. What
The
do you got
Jets are
there, Pop?
such a mess. I just can't see them pulling out of that and keeping it close. I'm going Chiefs. It's a lot of points, but I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah, it's tough to zag on the Chiefs there. The Jets defense is really good, as good as it
Are
gets in
they?
football, but it's just a really tough. Yeah, I mean, there's no debate about that. That's just a fact. But 9.5 points. I'm gonna just go
Best
ahead
in
and take the
football, I
Chiefs
think, is
there.
debatable.
I'm just gonna go ahead and take the Chiefs there. Um, you got Monday Night Football, the Seahawks at the
Your
Giants.
boys. Your boys.
Giants
I
are
had
the
to check that a
Giants
few times.
really 1.5 point favorites here?
Doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to check it again here just to be sure, but
Yeah, there was a clerical error previously
once.
here, so
Yep,
we
one and
gotta
a
we gotta
half
check this.
points. Giants are favorite.
Wow, the Seattle The Seattle disrespect is incredible here. I know they haven't been great
I
this
already
year,
wrote down Hawks for the both
but
of us. So
yeah, yeah. Like, you got to hammer that. You
I'm
got to
reading your
hammer that.
mind.
Yeah.
Telekinesis.
I mean, it's just I have a little bit of common sense. You get plus money on the Seahawks. They're just a better football team than the Giants by far. The Giants have Brian Dable could only pull so many rabbits out of his hat. And then
Yep. We got
finally,
so excited. We
special for you
skipped
guys.
this. This does not. I
Special
want
for
to
you.
clarify something for the people. Unless we specifically put the Commanders game in the Bada Bets segment, it doesn't count against our record. This is just our Commanders prediction segment, which we were supposed to do earlier, but we missed. But we got to do it before we wrap up
Yep.
here.
So preseason, I predicted this as a loss. I don't remember what you predicted here. If you predicted a win, I think we both probably had losses here. But the Commanders are 8.5-point dogs going up to Philly. What do you think, Pop? I mean, I'm going to let you take this first because I really don't know what to think, frankly.
This is all about the juju for me, son. And I set some bad juju last week when I said the Bills are going to win. I let the boys down. I let the people down. So Juju's going to turn around. I'm not only picking us to cover the 8.5 points, I'm picking us to shock the world and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles coming off a short week. I got no justification for this pick other than I'm trying to silver lining. That's my justification.
There you go. Hey, bulletin board material for Jalen Hurts and the boys out there in Philadelphia. I am also going to take the Commanders to cover just because I think there's no way Ron and co are not feeling a little bit. We talked about the honeymoon being over. They got to be sweating a little bit about Josh Harris watching that massive blowout in week 3. They got to be worried about that. I think everybody's going to be kind of putting on for their coach, putting on for their own jobs because it's a contract year for all the players too. This is new ownership. It's auditions for everybody. So I
what's
think
your
we
pick,
get that
son?
together. I told you. I said I think the Commanders cover. I'm taking the
Cover,
Commanders.
but we said, remember, when we picked the Commanders game, there's 2 picks. Against the points and who's going to win or lose. You said earlier, I think you said earlier, you had the Eagles taking this game, but are you sticking with that?
I'm rooting for a win. I think as a pundit here, I got to predict the Eagles win this game, but I do think we cover -8.5. If I'm taking my fandom out of it, I just don't see how we beat this team where we're at right now. But I said that week 9 of last year, I said to go make a dinner date.
This loss is on you.
Came out there
if it's a loss, it's on you, son.
I wish I had that much control over the performance of this football team. I'll put it that way. Guys, let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, Pop?
Don't forget on Sunday, lucky football in hand. Move it around a little bit. Hand it to the dog if you have to.
Yep.
Get that juju right.
Yeah, be ready. I got to watch the loss. I hadn't washed my Terry McLaurin jersey yet. I was starting to get worried about it getting stinky, but it had only been 2 weeks. I got to wash the loss off of it. It's going to be fresh, ready to go come Sunday. Guys, without further ado, we're going to wrap this thing up. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think of the new layout. Tell us what you think of the new aesthetic. We'd love to hear you guys' feedback. And let's wrap this thing up. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for having a great weekend.